Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the political situation with regard to the amendments at this time. As far as the key political parties are concerned, we know that the consultative process is going on. We also know that there's been a delay in calling of the sessions as far as the upper house and the lower house are concerned. In a couple of hours, of course, we'll know what the situation is. The ramifications of the process at this time, the consultation at this time, of course, with the former chairman of PTI and his party, and of course Maulana Saab, and where the chips will fall eventually. We've also seen, of course, PPP play a key role in this. We've also seen Bilawal Bhutto Zardari take a strong stance on this, and with a move to steering it and moving it forward. All of that today on Perspective, his meetings with the PMLN leadership, with the Prime Minister at this time, all of those are in process and there have been for a while. Both the main leadership have also met Maulana Saab. What is the situation at this time? We'll be talking about that, and what can we expect in the next couple of hours. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Barrister, I have with me Daniyal Sheikh. Thank you so much for being with us today. We also have with us Zahid Gishkori, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll also be joined by other guests during the course of the program. Before I go to Daniyal here in the studio, I'm going to go to Zahid Gishkori Saab. Zahid Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, Mahrukh, very much. Thank you.
Zahid Saab, thank you for joining us. What is your opinion about what's happening at this time? What is your opinion about the consultative process? And as a journalist, what do you see happening at this time?
Mahrukh, this is a very interesting situation. Nothing is clear, but government says constitutional package will pass come what may. This is a claim coming from the government side, and political parties part of the government. They say number game is clear. They have the number, but the interesting thing is the Senate session was scheduled at 8 p.m., but it's delayed, and hopefully there are hopes that it would resume at 9 p.m. most likely tonight, and at 9:30 is National Assembly session. So things are not pretty clear, but the mood of the government side, it looks like that they are ready to present the constitutional package amendment. But on the other side, still it's not clear, because from the day one, this uncertainty continues to prevail time and again, because the magic numbers stand with JUIF, the opposition political party led by Jamiyat-e-Ulama Islam chief Maulana Fazlur Rahman. But government is claiming that they agreed, the JUIF agreed to vote for this package, and the draft has been shared and everything is now built on the consensus. On the other side, the opposition, PTI, obviously they want, absolutely, they don't want this constitutional package should be presented before the parliament.
I'm going to interject here with regard to your, as far as the PTI as a political party, their former chairman. Also, I understand, and we know from what the media has said, that they have met him, and there are, of course, he has also made, issued instructions. With regard to that, do you think there's a chance that there can be, because, earlier on, of course, the government has said that they would ideally like all political parties to be on agreement as far as the constitutional package is concerned. Do you see that agreement extending to the PTI and its leadership?
Listen, as a reporter and journalist, I spoke to its chairman, Barrister Ghauri Khan, today, soon after he met Imran Khan in the jail. I personally think, and my information suggests, that PTI could not develop any consensus with JUIF. That it seemed that both parties fall apart on this stage of time when we are talking in your program as live. But we can't say exactly what would happen, but it looks like that JUIF would support the government on this very particular matter. There might be some changes in the draft, most likely in next 30 minutes, but it looks like that the government plan to present this package before the parliament and get it passed. Even as Bilawal said last night that it's a brutal combination and government want to do it like do or die. It's a do or die situation for both sides. It looks like that it might have an edge for the government, but we can't say exactly. Yes, consensus is not between two opposition parties, JUIF, the partner with PTI, because they could not even develop a consensus on the amendment, the draft prepared by JUIF. But the one thing is very important, the thing they told about the Imran Khan in the jail, soon after their statement comes out, the statement issued by the jail authorities that they denied and vehemently rebutted what exactly told by PTI leaders after meeting Imran Khan about his condition and the jail missing facilities and all those. So it's an age of we can say we are living in an age of JUIF because it has it's a coincidence. It has a magic number, and government needs the sports, and obviously they are trying to gain what exactly
the draft that is in circulation. We that is available at this time. Do you think there can be significant changes in that draft or allowances, of course, to satisfy Maulana Saab or his party, in your opinion?
Look, Mahrukh, JUIF has certain demands. Some were met by PPP and the PMLN and other parties, part of the government. But we heard about another change in perhaps Article 38 about the interest in the banking system of Pakistan and so many other changes suggested by JUIF, because that it's a time process very extremely important. The discussion and the debate and the particular narration about the amendment and the changes, and because it's a big constitutional package, almost certain changes have been suggested already into 43 articles of the Constitution at least. So time is very important, and the timing about this, and they have limited time period. They have certainly, perhaps government wanted to get it done by Monday or even on Sunday. And the particular demand, I think the condition set by JUF met by PPP and the PMLN, because the Constitutional Court issue has come to an end, and they withdrew. This was a core and central amendment suggested by Pakistan People's Party to come up with the Federal Constitutional Court. The idea was dropped on demand of JUIF. I think that's enough otherwise at this stage of time. But we can't say exactly what would happen, but it looks like that this package would sail through. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, or any time by Monday. If government succeed to do that, so one can hope that the uncertainty has been prevailing upon this country and the political system of the state would come to an end. It looks like if this package does not go through, it means that opposition is still strong and government is supposed to go with this not very strong legislation the state needed for, or might be a very poor government would not be able to take any big decision. To
come back to you, Zahid. I'm going to go to Daniyal and then thank you. I'm going to come back to you. Please stay with us. Daniel, you heard what Zahid Saab is saying. He's given us sort of summed up the situation at this time for us. In your opinion, do you think that there are chances perhaps the opposition will cave or no?
First of all, I don't agree with Zahid Saab on a few things that he said. First of all, I don't think that time is of that much essence. It can take longer, and basically politics is the art of possibility. So you have to convince your political rivals into dialogue, and which is the first, I think it's a very big achievement for the government, and it's a very big achievement for Maulana Fazlur Rahman that the officials, party officials of PTI and other mainstream parties are visiting him, and the importance that he's getting on this issue. First of all, it negates the past claim that that PTI held against Fazlur Rahman. For such a long time, they used to accuse him of a lot of things. So basically, in Pakistani politics, this is considered a great victory if your political rival or someone who was once against you is sitting in your drawing room. But anyways, so as far as consensus is concerned, when there's dialogue, when dialogue is open, so there's always hope. And like there's a famous saying in Pakistani politics, it's called 3 cups of tea. All it takes is 3 cups of tea to convince somebody, as long as the person is open for dialogue. So even if they're not able to pass it tonight, later on
they've had their 3 cups though.
No, this is the second cup.
Okay.
So there still is a third cup. There's a chance, and more than that, I personally think that we should look at the bright side, which is that we're heading towards a consensus. So even if some stakeholders have some apprehensions, I'm sure they can be addressed. But
do you think those stakeholders, I mean, of course, the opposition is a stakeholder in the sense that it has a significant role. The PTI as a political party, whether it's a Sunni Ittihad Council or the opposition, whatever we may call it, has a significant number of seats. And ideally, the government has said that they would like some sort of agreement with the opposition on this issue. Do you think there's a chance after this meeting with the former chief of PTI that it can happen?
Definitely there is a chance, and more than that, because this is not it's not a day-to-day affair of running the government. It's a constitutional amendment, so the opposition should definitely take part in it, and they should definitely be brought on page, and all stakeholders. That's the whole essence or the beauty of democracy. Okay, when a principal issue comes up, now already for them to be part of the dialogue itself, is going against the past claims that they had against this National Assembly. So now that they're being, but there's the light at the end of the tunnel, or the positivity that I see right now is that they're not heading to the streets, or they're not heading towards agitation. Rather, they're trying to convince other stakeholders.
But I want
which
to
is
come
very
to
positive.
that. I mean, we've seen some comments come out, according to media reports, from the former head of PTI saying that, you know, he's not pleased with his party. As reported by media, from what we've heard, that he said he's not pleased with his party, they haven't agitated like he would have liked, and they haven't continued that agitation into the conference also, and all of those things that are being said. In the light of those comments, do you think that he might still be amenable to some kind of agreement, or some kind of having some role to play with regard to these
like you said earlier, during what you're doing the statement that you said, that it's not, whatever information we get about him is not credible, because we've even seen in the past that once one of his party leader claimed that he met me and he hugged me, and his sister said that no, this thing didn't happen. So unless and until we have some concrete evidence. But as far as the agitation is concerned, yes, I do personally agree that there's a very strong element within the party that wants to hold on to the power that they're claiming in one of the provinces that they're ruling. And then more than that, there are 3 or 4 factions within the party, and they're definitely not on the same page. So if he made this claim, this claim is very much visible and we can see it. But more than that, I personally think that as far as this constitutional amendment is concerned, like Zahid Saab was saying, whether it goes through or not, it's not going to affect the government in any way. Basically, the government or the simple majority is intact, or that's not an issue. And on this issue, even if they're not able to do it today, they can do it in a few days or in a few weeks, because it's not something that has to be done like immediately, or it's not affecting the day-to-day functioning of the government. It's basically for betterment of the future of Pakistan. So as far as the whole issue is concerned, I think that the media hype that is being created, it's not that big of an issue. as far as the time constraint is concerned.
Okay, fair enough. We have with us Barrister Safiullah Ghauri. I'm going to go to him to ask his legal opinion on this. Safiullah, can you hear me? Please unmute. Safiullah, you need to unmute. No, I can't hear you. Can you hear me, Safiullah?
Can you hear me?
No. I can hear you now. While, of course, we've talked about the amendments, at this time, the Constitutional Court having been amended to a constitutional bench, do you see the draft that is in circulation at this time as being significantly different?
100%. So I think here's what I think. When we talk about the issue of the Constitutional Court, which was the core issue in this case, we see a massive departure from the earlier drafts that we had seen, because the Constitutional Court was an attempt to create a supra court which is above the Constitution, which is above the Supreme Court of Pakistan. A constitutional bench is something that does not even require a constitutional change, by the way. Like, a constitutional bench is something that the Chief Justice has the power to make. The Chief Justice has the power to make a criminal bench, a civil bench. He could have easily created a constitutional bench. You do not need an amendment in the Constitution. So for all intents and purposes, the primary thought behind the previous drafts, which was the creation of a federal constitutional court, has now gone away. It's no longer in the talks. And that's all right. I mean, I suppose maybe that's something that the lawyer community of Pakistan was not agreeing on. There was a huge lashback, if you recall, from the Supreme Court Bar Association, from other bar associations, the Karachi Bar Association, the Punjab Bar Association. So lawyers were very uncomfortable with it. I think people in Pakistan were just not okay with the idea of a basic change to our judicial system. So that's gone away.
So let me stop you there. When you talk about a basic structure, so at this time when it's no longer there as far as the Constitutional Court is concerned, and now that we're talking about a constitutional bench, do you see it not significantly altering the structure, which is one of the criticisms that the opposition is making at this time?
It is not a significant alteration to the structure, simply because the Constitution already allowed the Chief Justice of Pakistan to make a constitutional bench. And in the past, it has also been practiced. The Chief Justice of Pakistan, even the Chief Justice of a particular high court, has the power to make benches as and when they want. Now what they've done is they've just established a bench once and for all. Instead of the Chief Justice making ad hoc benches, what they've made a permanent bench. I don't see that as a significant change. I think the Chief Justice, the sitting Chief Justice could have done this had he been requested to do this by the Parliament.
Provisions relating to the judiciary and senior judiciary, as we understand, in the draft also, right?
But see, the central change here is the accountability of the judiciary. So what we have done is we have amended Article 111 of the Constitution to make a Supreme Council that decides who can be inducted into the Supreme Court. Now, this council has people from the Parliament, from the Senate, from also the lawyers community. That is a very good step. So what we are now experiencing is we are going to see judges who are more qualified getting elevated to the Supreme Court. And the most important point here, Mano, the biggest change in the Constitution that is being made is the fact that the Chief Justice of Pakistan will be appointed on merit. They will no longer be appointed on the basis of seniority. So we're done with the Al Jihad Trust case. That was a very old, long-established case which established that there will be a principle of seniority that will be followed on who becomes the Chief Justice of Pakistan. The Parliament now, with this constitutional amendment, is making the Supreme Court a lot like the bureaucracy or a lot like the military is, where people are appointed based on what their merits are. They're not appointed just because they are the senior most. And I personally am extremely happy to see this, because what they're suggesting is that there should be a metric to determine what the quality of judgments are and how many cases are being disposed by judges, so that now judges...
Don't you think that this changes, the criticism is that this changes the power dynamic and affects the independence of the judiciary? How would you respond to that?
Well, this is something that doesn't make sense to me, for the simple reason that, in Pakistan,
Zahid Saab, there is, as far as this amendment is concerned, Daniyal was earlier talking about how time is not so important for the government, because in terms of the numbers, the government is quite secure. So, do you agree with that? Because of course, I mean, even a month later, if they go ahead and do this, how does this affect the overall dynamic or the power structure or what the government aims to do with regard to this legislation?
Actually, Mahrukh, look, it has been around 9 months down the line. What government wanted to do could not do, actually. There has been protest, uncertainty, chaos on different fronts, even though Pakistan, for the first time in its recent history, hosted SCO, the internationally, I think, the biggest platform ever, where more than 900 delegates visited Pakistan, and around 40% population and 80% land of this world, they all were representative like Russia, China, even India. So it's a good achievement. Pakistan came back on the world stage. Even though the situation was like lockdown here in the capital, and the international media portrayed and also highlighted this very point, but successfully government done it. So I think this is the reason that for the first time we have witnessed that any political government now wanted to engage itself the accountability of judges of superior courts. And it's happening for the first time recently. We don't know that what would happen, but the criterion set by and suggested in the amendment that there would be a summary of 3 senior most judges of Supreme Court of Pakistan, and it would be a choice of the parliamentary panel or the commission to choose one of them. I think it's a good idea, because we have seen in the past, being as barrister, as a lawyer, and luckily we have a forum here to discuss this very point, that I, as a reporter since 2006, that a few of judges became Pakistan Chief Justices. I don't want to comment it because the program is going to
Yes, there has been some controversiality associated with those, and you're saying that this may deal with that adequately, and which is what the government aims to do, as I understand. Zahid Saab, let me come back to you. We also have with us Mohammed Ali Rashid, who's with the PPP, is also spokesperson for the Sindh government. Ali, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ali, there is, earlier on we saw Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Sahab say that, he was quite adamant as far as the Constitutional Court was concerned. And of course, he said that earlier on BB also wanted and was, had advocated for it very strongly. The move toward a constitutional bench, how does the PPP look at it?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We wanted all the stakeholders, all the political parties to be on the same page, and we wanted to build consensus. And in that, we wanted to make everybody happy. And there were certain things which other parties wanted, especially Maulana Sahab and even PTI. So we compromised, and but that being said, there will be like a constitutional bench or division which will look after cases, and it will pretty much serve the same purpose, because it will be autonomous and it will take care of all the constitutional cases. And end of the day, that's what our main concern was, that these constitutional cases should not take priority over other cases which are pending of the general public, because they might not be as high profile as these constitutional cases, etc. So that being said, I think we are all on the same page, so much so that Maulana Saab has agreed that this bill, this amendment which is coming, it won't be from the government benches. It'll be from he, as a private member, he'll move this bill. So I think that's a big achievement to show people that we are all together, and it's not something which is being done in haste. It's not some kind of agenda which the government has, but it is in the interest of the country, and all stakeholders are on board. So much so that even PTI, whatever concerns that they have or they had, we have addressed those and we have resolved those. So there's not a single thing which
I will agree. You're saying that the PTI will agree to do this? I mean, they are going to be a part of this? Is that what you're saying? Because, you know, we saw, of course, them going to seek instructions from the PTI, former PTI chairman, and, you know, from that we've also seen a delay. So are you saying that the opposition is going to be moving with the government on this?
Right on that. Basically, whatever deliberations and conversations and discussions which we had with PTI, they had some reservations. So we have, resolved those reservations. We have now currently the draft which we have is acceptable to PTI, meaning whatever points which they had raised, we've addressed all of them. So technically, the PTI should be on board. But I do understand they do have some issues with the consultation with their leader. We even facilitated that. We made sure that they were able to meet him timely and make sure whatever. So if any delay or any, if there is no support from them, it won't be because any of their apprehensions or reservations or whatever issues they had were not addressed, but that'll just be part of them maybe not having enough time to discuss it with the leader, or them not being able to get a green signal from there. It may be just time. But that being said, what I'm trying to say is, because we've had meetings with them, and in writing they gave us.
But Ali, if they do, I mean, if time is really the only huge issue here, wouldn't it be better, because as we understand, for the government, why is, you could delay it, the government could delay it and seek that agreement, because for all intents and purposes, if this goes through with unanimous approval and the opposition agrees to walk the talk and go ahead as far on these amendments with you, with the government, that will be a huge feat, no?
I agree with you, but you see, we've done our part of the deal, the bargain, whatever we were supposed to do, we've actually completed it. So now PTI knows that whatever issues they had, they've been addressed. Now, for whatever reason, if they prolong it, delay it, and are just making excuses not to come on board, and later they're just waiting for it to pass, and then they'll just create unrest or create some kind of issues, then we know that's what their intentions are, because we've addressed all of that. So I feel that why should we wait if we have done everything they've asked us to do, and we've really compromised to make sure that everybody is happy, and yet if they keep delaying it for no good reason, that we feel that then we shouldn't wait. Why should we wait? If there's a good reason to wait, we are, fair enough. But if we feel it's just being prolonged just to buy time, or just to create some issues, or it's not genuine, the wait is not genuine, then we don't want to wait. We want to go ahead with it. That being said, I think all the parties have come to consensus. Maulana Saab is on board, everybody is on board. So from the looks of it, I think it should go through smoothly without any problems. But that being said, we also have our backup. We do have the numbers. I think it's very something which should be appreciated from our end, is that despite having the numbers, we're not going ahead with it. We're trying to build consensus and make everybody, come on board. So this thing is not controversial, basically. Yeah.
Daniyal, do you agree with what Ali is saying? He's saying that it's just because they want, of course, to take everybody on board, and that they do have the numbers. Of course, we saw earlier on, we've seen the session delayed, and even earlier on, not just today. And we've also seen the fact that Maulana Saab seems integral to the whole situation at this time. But if he is amenable, then essentially the other opposition at this time shouldn't matter so much as far as the numbers are concerned.
Well, as far as Maulana Sahib is concerned, it's very difficult to predict because both parties, the opposition is claiming that he's on their side, and the government is claiming that he's on their side. So until and unless
he actually goes and votes, because the government is going to the extent of saying that it's going to be him putting forward the bill as a private member's bill. So that's a huge. That itself will be a huge step if he's agreed.
Definitely, because if you remember, like the last attempt that the government made, even before that, the government's claim was that Maulana Fazl Rahman has agreed, but at the last moment he asked for more time. So he has been given the time that he asked for. So there's less than an hour left, in the whole situation is going to be clear. But I cannot comment on this because at the moment both parties are claiming, the opposition is claiming that Maulana Sahib is on their side, and the government is claiming. And as far as Mr. Ali was saying, I don't think that the government has a very comfortable margin. It's laser thin margin, so Maulana's vote is very integral, and it's very difficult at this point to predict where Maulana is going to go, because I personally believe, knowing his political trajectory, he's going to, now that both parties have given him a task, he's going to try to build a consensus. So considering that mentality of Maulana Sahib, I would think that this matter could possibly be deferred for at least another week, and Maulana is going to try to convince the former chairman of PTI to bring him on board.
So, do you agree with what Daniyal is saying? He's saying that in his opinion, it might be prolonged because Maulana Sahib would want to have both the opposition and the government on one page with regard to this. Do you think possibility that we could be looking at a further delay in this? Not that, of course, like we earlier said, it doesn't matter for the government, the numbers or anything, as far as that makeup is concerned, because the government itself, of course, has a majority.
I think, Mahrukh, there could be a delay because the reports I'm getting from the parliament, I just came back from the parliament, there's only 4 senators present in the hall. But the most important thing, according to my sources, the government wants to build a consensus by engaging all opposition political parties for this greater amendment. This is the only reason that government wants to engage them, and opposition wants more time, because the timing is very important for both. Because the one thing opposition wants they want to procrastinate the matter by October 25th, the very important day. The sitting Chief Justice of Pakistan would get superannuation, and after that, the most senior most would become the Chief Justice. There is a possibility within the government thinking that there might be any other, could be the senior most, not might be the Chief Justice. There could be any other senior judge of the country could be the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. So there are such speculation, there are such thinkings, rumors, and somehow discussion within the party, within the government. So timing is important, but 2 days are very important. Maybe it continues for tomorrow, or maybe the matter might be seeing more procrastination till Monday. At the moment, no session could get sought, but there are some reason that government want to engage JUIF, having a magic number. We are getting such information that still JUIF has a concern, and Pakistan People's Party delegation would again visit Maulana Fazl Rahman house. So this is a very interesting situation. It means that there could be a possibility. We don't know that either the session would get adjourned or it would continue, but we can't say exactly. But the sources, just when we are talking about in your program, that there could be another consultation between JUIF and from the government side. From the other side, like PTI, I think the engagement continues with JUIF, but I don't see any consensus would develop between the two parties because it looks like a natural alliance, but there could be some sort of test case for JUIF to gain maximum what exactly they can, because this is an opportunity as a political party for them to engage the government and get maximum political benefit.
We have Barrister Safi Ghauri with us. Ji. But let me go to Ali then. Ali, overall, the day as far as 26th is concerned, because as we understand, there are some amendments in the draft that is in circulation. Do you think that date is still relevant? Because, there are certain amendments in the draft itself which necessarily doesn't which it looks like it doesn't seem like 26th may be as important as far as a deadline for the government, considering those amendments. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, well, I think 26 or whatever, I don't think it'll take that long. I think a lot of people are saying that it'll take another week if it does, but I don't think so. I think if you look at the pace of the meetings which are happening, if you look at all the statements which are coming, it's pretty much the consensus has been built. There are very minor things which need to be tweaked, and I think maybe not even tweaked, maybe just like, reconfirmation that, yeah, okay, this is everybody's on board kind of situation before they actually move forward and table this amendment. So I think 26th is a long time from now, and I think today is the 19th. So I think it is enough. If the next 2-3 sessions, I think it can be tabled and passed. I don't think it'll be an issue.
Do you think it's, if the opposition, mainly the PTI and the former chief of PTI agrees, and if the PTI is also on board with regard to these amendments, do you think it could potentially end the kind of politics, the polarization we've seen come from that side, the kind of politics of agitation that we have seen, recently also? Do you think it could potentially put an end to all that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it could and it should. I think the government's gone like, an extra mile just to make PTI feel comfortable. We could have not included them. We could have been exclusive because of the kind of statements which were coming from there. But we were very inclusive. We made sure that everybody was comfortable. We actually took some of the suggestions and we changed a lot of, and those weren't like any minor suggestions. They were like some big things which they wanted to change, but we said, all right, I think it'll be a good, we thought it'll be a good way to get them on board, not just for this amendment, but generally also otherwise also, because, I think the country right now needs unity. I think we all need to work together and just figure things out. And I think it's a very healthy exercise which is going on, which will have future repercussions also on the
reports about how, according to the media, reports about how the former chief of PTI is being treated, his the way that the food given in jail, all of those, how are they authentic? What is your opinion on that?
One of the leaders had gone to meet him and he said, I'm now satisfied. Earlier I was a bit disturbed with the rumors, but now I'm satisfied after meeting him. And I think they released his Khan Saab's diet plan on media. I think he's having chia seeds and and dates and apricots and Greek yogurt for breakfast and desi murgi for lunch and mutton for dinner. It's a very, like hashtag fitness goals. I think it's very good to know that he's having that, but his condition's fine, and there were no complaints from his side either when people went and met him. And I think he's been examined by 3 doctors already, and he's in good health. So I think all the rumors which were circulating about him not being well or being ill-treated were false. And finally, I think very recently, I think like 2-3 hours back, everything was released that this is his diet, this is his health, and these are his sentiments. He was a bit unhappy with his party leadership, the way they're handling things, but he had no complaints regarding the way he's being treated in jail.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Daniyal, your quick comments before we close. How do you see the situation overall?
Well, it's I personally, as a political analyst, I would say there's a 50% chance that it's going to go through, and there's a 50% chance that it's going to be delayed. And especially because, see, there's a lot of pressure on Maulana Fazlur Rahman, not just from the former chairman of PTI, but also from the Baloch nationalist leader, Mr. Mangal and his party, and other Baloch stakeholders. I personally think, knowing his personality, he's going to gain some time to at least build consensus between the people he can. And I think he's going to gain some time.
Fair enough. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much for being with us today. Daniyal Sheikh, thank you for joining us. Barrister Safi Ghauri, thank you for being with us. Zahid Gishkori, thank you for joining us. Ali Rashid, thank you for your time. Overall, in terms of what happens, of course, we'll know in a couple of hours whether there's going to be more delay or whether it will say, as far as the amendments are concerned, whether they will sail through or not. Of course, consensus is the key issue here, and for a while we've been asking and looking for that kind of consensus between the government and the opposition, so that there is, not just now, not just for this amendment, but for overall later, and in terms of politics and for the future of this country, there can be a clear role that the opposition can play. There can be a working relationship between the opposition and the government, which is essential to any democratic parliamentary style of governance that we want in this country, and that should have a place in our time, and that so that the country can move forward and we can have valid criticisms, but then we can also have a working relationship where it so necessitates. Let's hope that we can move towards that. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.